It's 6 with me and Mark, officially the episode 6 of their O'Reilly Wrestling Hangout. Um, with my guest, co-host, and friend, the real Mark Golden. Mark, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Buenos noches. How are you?
I am very well.
Good.
Just watched a good night of wrestling. I don't know what you want to start with. Do you want to start with TNA or do you want to start with WWE from this week?
I could do. Let's might as well do in order again, Raw, because I was not an invited guest on the Horseman Hangout. You were, so I'm sure you guys already covered Raw, but
Yeah,
we can.
I know. I just go on there and I just, like I said to you earlier on Twitter, I just throw in a few things here and there. We do the official review here on the O'Reilly Wrestling Hangout.
That's cool. I mean, I don't know. They don't have me on there, but whatever.
I don't think it's anything personal, Mark.
That's okay. Let's move on to the Raw review.
All
That's
right,
okay.
let me bring up. Triple H came out and made a pretty good, funny comments to the Smarks, to the IWC, YWC. He started off with Raw. It was pretty funny. He mentioned oh, me and my friend Mark, I'm gonna get
Yes.
on Twitter and complain, blah blah blah. And me and my friend Mark, we're not gonna watch anymore.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was. I think everybody found that comical. Even people that like us that go on Twitter and go on YouTube and make videos and you know
Yeah.
read the dirt sheets or whatever. Even us could take. Some people took to offense to it. I don't know. There's probably some people out there that took offense to it, but
Well, here's the thing: is we watch all wrestling. At least I do, and I don't. There's a good portion of wrestling fans that all they do is complain about everything. The IWC mostly bitch about everything, and those were who he was talking about, and I thought it was funny.
right. And he said he was going to come out and announce who he was going to, name as the number one contender for SummerSlam. That was basically the show, the theme of the show.
The
Uh,
arc, the story arc.
yeah. Orton came out, said that he deserved another title shot. I think we all think that Orton has had enough title shots, and if he never gets another one, we'll all be happy.
Well,
I know
he's
there's some Orton fans out there that probably wouldn't be too happy that he would never get another title shot, but
even
that's their
WWE,
problem.
but WWE always has maintained the long-standing rule that the former champions should get a rematch, and he never did. So he's got a valid argument there.
Yeah, I get that, but so Daniel Bryan gets one when he comes back, correct?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're going to be consistent in your storytelling with keeping that rule going, I mean, they do it. They keep with that. So I think that he's right. If they're going to maintain a congruent story or consistent story with former champion getting a guaranteed rematch, then he should have it. Sure, even if it's on Raw, it doesn't matter where. But he's right.
Yeah, I think if he does get his rematch, which he should, I guess, you're right. He should get his rematch. It should be on Raw though. I don't think we need to see Orton in another pay-per-view main event. I
No,
mean,
I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago. They said that it was like they had a John Cena and Randy Orton match at a pay-per-view, and they said this is the last time ever. And this was like 6 or 7 years ago now. And they've had matches. They've had 1,000 more matches since then. But I remember them billing it as one more match, the final match between Orton and Cena.
yeah. I mean, they go back on their storytelling all the time. They say these things and then they go right, 2 months later, they think we're going to forget about it. And they're hoping that the people that don't watch all the time come back to it and they've been away for so long that they do forget about it. So, but the
Yeah, but
hardcore people that watch it every week, no matter how bad the pay-per-view is, no matter, how bad Raw is, we each all come back. Us
yeah,
hardcore fans will always come back and watch it because
that's
that's what entertains us.
and that's also probably why there's not a million subscribers to the network yet. Because who subscribes to the network are fans like us, who like the classics and the documentaries and old school Raws and stuff from MSG and all the paper, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad they're adding the Raws to it. Like, I don't know if you noticed on Twitter, me and my dad went back and watched a Raw that we were at in 2002 in Manchester, New Hampshire yesterday. The main event was The Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy in the ladder match. Great
Oh, that's
match.
on there. Oh wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't watched any of the classic Raws.
yeah. And actually, in one of the spots, I sent out a picture today on Twitter, a screenshot of when Booker T was running through the crowd because he was running. If he went up the ramp, the NWO was going to attack him. That's what he thought. So he ran through the
Yeah,
crowd, and he ran right by me and my dad. So we're
oh,
shown
that's
on
cool.
camera in it.
No, I mean I watched them in there when they originally aired, but I
Yeah,
haven't watched any of the replayed on the network.
yeah. Yeah, they haven't really added. They haven't really been adding that many. They just add key ones at this point.
I like the
But
one with Bret Hart and one two three Kid.
yeah,
That was a
yeah,
great
they're
match.
adding ones that have some significance
Yeah,
to the current. I guess the current product. I don't know where the significance was to this one. I guess it was Brock Lesnar, the up and coming star at that point.
maybe I don't know. Is that the one that Stone Cold no showed for?
No,
Okay,
no,
you
no,
know
no,
what?
no.
That in 2002.
This
I
was
don't.
July of 2000, July 1st, 2002. So
Okay.
I can't remember. I think Stone Cold had already walked out at that point because that was
Yeah,
King of the Ring, right?
yeah. He was supposed to lose a qualifying match for the King of the Ring
Right.
to Brock.
Right.
And
And he
Austin
felt,
said he didn't have a problem doing the job. He felt it should not be wasted on Raw. It should be done on a pay per view or something, not for a qualifying match for King of the Ring. Which he's right.
and he said that on DVDs and he said that on his
Yeah.
podcast.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't think I think they should have advertised that match. It was totally done the wrong way.
Sure. But I
You
think at the
know.
time too, Stone Cold wasn't main event main event. He wasn't main eventing at the time.
Right.
But still, he was their bread and butter for years, and
Right.
they, that match should have been a pay per view headliner.
He felt disrespected, is what he felt.
Sure, and he was right, and he regrets how he handled it and all that now. And he had talked about how CM Punk should, don't walk away from money and all that stuff. Everybody does what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, back to Raw. Um, we had Kane come out and he said that he wanted a title shot or he deserved a title shot because he didn't want to be. He felt that he was Randy Orton's babysitter in the match on Sunday, which he
Mm.
kind of was. He kind of helped him, in this, help him try to win the title, and he felt he was deserved the title shot because of that for
You
doing the
know,
job for Randy Orton.
at the ladder match when Cena won the titles, it was almost the exact same spot as the way the four-way match ended. And he did the attitude adjustment on Randy Orton onto Kane, or Kane onto Randy Orton, and then won.
Right.
Yeah, and then they had the three-way, right? Roman Reigns.
Right. Yeah. And then they had Roman Reigns in a in a what was it, a handicap match?
Yeah,
It was 1-on-3, right?
it was what on Raw.
Yeah.
I think it was just like it was what Roman Reigns against. I think it was just Roman. No, I think it was a three-way
That was
match.
2-on-1. Sorry, it's 2-on-1 is in my notes.
Okay, 2-on-1, and Roman Reigns beat them.
Roman Reigns won, so that makes him look strong, beating two guys.
Yeah, but he already did. I mean, he had all three of those guys
Mm.
knocked around at the night before too. At
I think
Battleground.
I think it was just a reason to get these guys on Raw. You know, wasn't nothing more than nothing less. It was a good match. Um, a lot of near falls in it.
Yeah, I think it's time to. There's so many new guys. They keep going back to the same people. You know, it's time to put Kane and Randy Orton away for a while. Randy Orton's still a young guy, but he's been in the top tier for as long as Cena has, and I think people are kind of burned out on him. Kane too.
This is who? Who are you talking about? Sorry,
Randy
I was
Orton.
reading my
Randy
notes.
Orton. He's been
Randy Orton, yes.
he's been in the top tier for 10 years. You know, I remember I went to see him. I saw Raw um, on that. It was Randy Orton Appreciation Night or something in Seattle with all the gold ticker tape.
I think he debuted in 2002. I want to say.
Yep. But I mean, he's been in the top tier for 10 years. 10. It
Yeah.
was 2004 he won the title.
Yeah, when he left Evolution, he was pretty much as a top tier talent,
Yep.
and he beat who we know who he beat for the world title.
Yeah, Chris Benoit at SummerSlam.
Right.
What are you eating?
That would be a fudgicle.
A what?
A fudgicle.
Fudgicle? What the hell is that? Oh, fudgesicle?
A fudge, whatever you say. I don't know.
Fudgicle. Okay. Hashtag Fudgicle.
Yes, hashtag fudgicle. Yes. Um, and then I think we had the Miz Dolph Ziggler match. This was a good match.
Very good.
Very good. You know, what do you like? We talked about this in the past. What do you think of this? You know, the Miz not wanting his moneymaker messed up.
Well, he's in the wrong line of work, I guess. But none of those guys ever really get any bruises or anything, except for Bray Wyatt has his shiner. But normally you don't see a whole lot of
Yeah.
wounds. I don't know. It's goofy. It's just it's playing off of his movie star persona. But I think that was a nice little twist. He did the Edge game plan in that Battle Royal at Battleground too. I was disappointed for Dolph, but it was a good. I think they're going to have a little program here for a while. Those two. The Battle of Ohio.
For the IC title, yeah.
Yeah, the Battle of Ohio.
Yeah.
That's where I'm living right now, Ohio.
Yeah,
so.
they need two established guys. I know usually people want the established guy against the young guy for that title, but I think that title needs to be built up a little bit, you know. And with these two guys, they can have a few good matches, build that title up, and then, you know.
They're working on that, though. I think there's been more. I've said this before. There's been more emphasis or emphasis on the Intercontinental and U.S. titles in recent months. There has, you know, like when Bad News Barrett, you know, he was injured. The first thing they did was they had a match to determine the champion. They're not going to put it on the shelf. And maybe a year or two ago they might have, you know, but now they're made sure to have a new champion crown to keep it in play. And he came out before the Battle Royal. Bad News Barrett did, and that was a great promo. He cut on everybody in that Battle Royal. I love that.
Yeah, I'm glad they are, you know, keeping Bad News Barrett somewhat relevant with the you know, people that like we've gone back to that don't watch it all the time. At least he's there so people don't forget him.
Oh, I think he's great, and I think it's a shame that this injury came at a time You know, every time he gets a push, he gets injured.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
he
something
just
with his
seems to be a chance of bad luck, I mean,
yeah.
that's why I don't like that spot that they, I think the spots where they throw him into the wall are so overdone. I mean, if it's a big match, yeah, do it. But if it's just on SmackDown, like he got injured on SmackDown, what did that really mean? What did that match, I know it was an IC title match, but it was,
And the first thing they did was turn uh, who did
Swagger.
that? They turned him face. They
Yeah.
should have. He should have been out there bragging about putting Barrett on the show.
Yeah.
He should have been every week, or his new thing could have been like some sort of like a crippler or a crusher or somebody who intentionally hurts people or something. And they always drop the. They always have something that is. If something falls in your lap, like a serendipitous storyline, like the thing with Bray Wyatt, Ric Flair, Flair, Bloody, and Bray, they totally swept it under the rug. Or this with Swagger injuring Bad News, and then they're still going to go with their plan. Like when something falls in your lap, it might be better than what you had planned, and they don't think that way. That's a shame because they really miss out on some good ideas that just happen to happen.
That could have been a good, he could have. But, who would be Swagger with, who would have Swagger, what would the payoff for that be? Who would he have feuded with?
Just like his whole thing could have been somebody who intentionally hurts people. He could have feuded with anybody. You know, he could have been the guy that intentionally put his move on and won't let up, and intentionally tries to injure his opponents.
Okay, now talking about Jack Swagger, we go into the opposite who he's feuding with, Rusev. What did you think
Mm-hmm.
about the promo on Sunday by Lana? A lot of talk. WWE's been getting a lot of negative press for her mentioning the Russian plane or the plane over in where was it? The Ukraine, something like that. I can't remember exactly where it was.
Yeah. It left Amsterdam, and it's a funny story because uh, the woman a friend of mine, she works in our human resources department. She is human resources. She was in Amsterdam and leaving for Turkey that day, and I messaged her right away the day that plane crashed because I didn't know what time her flight was, but I knew she was leaving that day at some point. And I messaged her right away, get back to me, because I thought, Christ, maybe she was on there. And she messaged me right back, and she was already in. Or she hadn't left yet, I don't think. But it was a different flight. But anyway, I thought, Christ, who knew? The promo, I think people overreacted to it. I really don't even remember what she said, honestly. It's probably too soon to talk about that, anything like that in a wrestling angle. Uh, but I don't really remember what it is that she said that has everybody up in arms. Was it just merely the fact that she mentioned it, or what?
I don't. I think it was if she didn't even mention it, she just kind of hinted at it. That she said, something on the lines of USA jumped to conclusions and blamed Russia for shooting. What the recent events is what I think she said. Now, I'm sorry. This is wrestling. Wrestling for years have had heels that come out and mention stuff that happens in real life. And
I I think the only problem was the fact that it was a little um, just a little too fresh, maybe. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't bat an eye at it because they're in the middle of a storyline that's that. So she referenced it. I mean, everybody gripes and moans about wrestling should be more realistic.
right,
It's real. We need realism in wrestling, real life, and
and then the
then
media
they do
comes
it.
out and says
Then they
the
do it,
media
and
will come
everybody
out and
bitches.
say, "Oh, sorry, go ahead."
I was just saying that everybody says wrestling needs more realism and realistic and reality, and then they have some reality, a realistic issue that's referenced, and everybody freaks out.
Yeah, it's the same way in life, you know. A lot of things we could go on and on about times where, you know, I mean, Muhammad Hassan got fired, I think, or something got pulled when Muhammad Hassan got
It was
killed
the
off
same
because of something terrorist attack and
in 2007 or six.
sex. Yeah,
And yeah, that there was it was taped on the SmackDowns were taped on Tuesday, and it aired the same night that it aired. Was the same that same morning that that double decker bus in England was blown up, and then that night on SmackDown that was taped for 2 days prior, uh, his guys that came out dressed like
he was
assassins.
battling the Undertaker.
Yeah, they came out and they choked out the Undertaker and carried him away, and I think people got all offended because it aired the same night as that terror attack in England. It was just the timing was shitty. That was all.
Right. If it happened a week later or a month before, nobody would have made any big deal about it. It would have
Exactly.
been, and then he killed him off. Then the Undertaker killed him off at, I believe it was the Great American Bash. But we're getting off topic here. I think to the point of, I think people, like you were saying, people want realism in wrestling, and then the media says, "Oh wait, wrestling's not real; it's fake." And then they add a little bit of realism to them, and then the media jumps all over them for it being too real.
The only the only realism that wrestling should worry about is realistic matches, realistic action, not a bunch of talky parts.
Yeah, but I think all right. So we spent enough time on this. Um, we had Paige and AJ versus Natalia and Emma. Emma back on Raw. I believe actually she was on the week before, but I could be mistaken. And then we had after the match that AJ and Paige had won. Paige turned heel on AJ. So what do you think about the heel turn at Paige?
I think it was. Um, I guess it was bound to happen, either one of them, sooner or later, because they weren't going to just be friends and then battling for the championship for too long. Somebody was going to turn on somebody. Those are the only two uh, divas, as it were, that are not or that are recognizable. I mean, the rest of them are just a bunch of chicks. Honestly, divas division is terrible. Most of the time, it is pretty bad nowadays. The NXT girls are good, and the Impact girls are good, the knockouts. But the Divas division is awful. It really is the worst. And then, other than Paige and AJ, those are the only two that are really any good.
Well, Natalia's good, but they never push her.
I
They
consider
always
her
just
an
use her.
NXT. I
Yeah.
consider her an NXT woman. Isn't she on NXT more than Raw?
I haven't watched NXT for a couple weeks, so I wouldn't know. I had some issues with my network the past couple weeks. I haven't been able to watch.
You didn't pay, did you pay? Did you forget to pay your bill?
I don't know what the heck happened. I got locked out for some reason. I finally got back on yesterday, so I was able to watch the pay-per-view on. For some reason, it wouldn't go through my laptop. I don't know what the heck was going on. It was weird. I could watch it on every other device but my laptop, so we had to watch the pay-per-view through my mom's iPad on Sunday.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have a Roku or a PlayStation?
No, I use my laptop and then I just hook up the HDMI wire through that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Onto the TV, you know. So I don't need to go out and buy the Roku. I mean, you know, we already got the laptop, but I don't know what it was. I guess my dad was trying to use the password and he got it confused or something. I don't know. Because I live with my parents still,
Yeah.
and my dad was using the password. He messed it up. I guess he locked it out and I didn't know it. And he kept on locking me out because he thought it was one password and I was changing it and I forgot to tell
Yeah.
him.
Well, when you have it on a device like PlayStation, like I use, you stay logged in all the time. So when you shut it off, turn it back on, and you
Yeah.
go on, you're already signed in.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to sign in with his mobile. He was trying to use his cell phone to watch something.
Oh,
So
I
I
see.
was signed in automatically on my laptop, but
Right.
because he got the password wrong, it locked me out and I didn't know it. So till
Okay.
this week, I figured it out. So I'm back online with that. So
Good.
um,
Hey, what's that thing you were eating again?
I'm not gonna say because you're gonna make fun of me. A
All right.
fudgicle.
All right. Go ahead. Next
All right.
topic.
All right. Then what happened? Did we forgot to talk about the Bella incident.
Oh
So
yeah, that
Brie
was
Bella
okay.
came out. Did that happen? No, that happened later. Well, we can go to
Well,
that
she
now.
came out. Who came out to have her match, and then
Nikki Bella had a 4-on-1 handicap match. And before Brie Bella was at ringside, Stephanie McMahon came down. She didn't like the fact that Brie Bella was there, quote
yeah,
unquote. She quit, and she was a ticket holder,
right.
and she somehow got hold of the microphone, took it away from Stephanie, and called her a vindictive bitch. And the only reason she was doing what she was doing to Nikki is because she left a handprint on her pretty little face.
Right.
And then we had the match, and it was just a
Stephanie,
match.
don't get Stephanie hit her, and then the security took her out.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And then once she got taken out by security, she went to get the cops.
Right, right.
Because Stephanie hit her, she had the tickets. She was just a civilian. Therefore, I guess it justified the arrest. Because if you think about any assault, Christ, people would be arrested on every show if the things that you do could get you
Right.
arrested. You know, like
But Brie
beating
Bella
somebody.
was a civilian.
Yes, like beating somebody with you know weapons and things, throwing them into
I
death.
actually liked. So we'll just talk about Stephanie getting arrested. I mean, it happened later on. Um, so Stephanie gets arrested. I thought it was, she, sold it pretty well. Oh me, I'm getting arrested. Oh no, not me. I'm Stephanie McMahon.
I think Ryan, uh, comedian Ryan Patrick said that it was pretty bad overacting, and I tend to agree. It was a little camp, and also I think a lot of that has to do with the play-by-play. If Jr. was there calling that, Daddy's little girl's going to the big house. He would have had the great lines for that. It would have helped to get that
Right,
over. But Michael Cole just does not know how to do it. And he's been doing it for 10 years or 15 years or more. Michael Cole. He just can't. He just doesn't have that. To me, he doesn't have it. Jr. would have sold that like
right,
he would have made it a lot better. But
right.
Cole and JBL and King, there's something about their broadcast that just doesn't click for me. And a lot of people agree.
I totally agree. I like JBL. I like, the people JBL and Michael Cole. They actually have a podcast, and I listen to it. It's not that bad. They talk about world stuff, and it's not that bad. They're themselves on there. But as
Yeah.
an announce team, they, like you said, they don't click. They don't go
No,
together.
no, it's not even that. It's just I think that They're not calling matches. They're telling stories and they're selling apps and they just repeat themselves and stupid jokes that Vince McMahon's yelling in their ear to say. It makes the broadcast sucky.
Yeah.
It's not for me. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I think they need to go a different direction and get a different announce team, but I don't think they ever will, unless
No.
something. I'm not saying I want something tragic to happen to Michael Cole. I just don't want him to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Go
I
in the
mean,
back and be some backstage guy.
that whole just play by play in wrestling is a lost art. It's dying off.
Yeah. They don't call, like you said, they don't call the matches. Now, do you think TNA does a better job with
Of
that?
course, absolutely, absolutely. So does Ring of Honor. They both do. Absolutely. They're telling they are getting the wrestlers over. They're getting the product over. They're telling the stories that are happening in the ring, explaining what's going on. Uh, they are the voice of the fans. That's how it should be. And of course, Mike Tenay and Taz are fine. They're really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have uh, Jeremy Borash sitting in there. He's good too. And then Ring of Honor has Kevin Kelly and Steve Carino. They're all yes, they're good. Mm-hmm.
So we also had a group formation of Xavier Woods, um, Kofi Kingston, and and who else is in that group?
Before I get to that, I wanted to say I tweeted this to someone and they agreed. I think it was Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM. They have a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Wrestling show. And I think that the Stephanie's arrest and Triple H not going to the police department with her, and he said to, and we'll get to that part later, but
Right.
I think this Stephanie's arrest and Triple H's reaction to it and not doing anything about it is going to lead to either a rift in the authority or Vince McMahon coming back.
Right.
But the Xavier Woods and Big E and Kofi is interesting, except for the fact that it is a blatant copy of MVP and Bobby Lashley and Kenny King.
Right.
And not just I don't know. Just to me, it is even MVP said, flattery is or what is it? Copying is a sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to think. Yeah, imitation is the best form of flattery or something.
MVP tweeted that, and when Raw was going on, when that segment happened, he knows it. It's obvious. Although I heard they're adding Mark Henry too. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, Xavier Woods had a Brother Love suit on. A white suit, red shirt, white tie. I don't know what the
And people are saying this is the new Nation of Domination. I don't know.
Why would they compare that to the Nation of Domination? Look at TNA. You have if you're talking about a similar black group, okay? If that's what they're comparing it to, how is that like the Nation of Domination? You have a talker, Xavier Woods. You have a jacked up muscle guy, Bobby Lashley. He would be Big E. The talker would be MVP. Right. And then the high flying black guy is Kenny King. I mean that's who Kofi is Kenny King, MVP, Xavier Woods, Big E, Bobby Lashley. That's your copy. They're not copying Nation of Domination. I don't know who would get that comparison.
Because this is the thing, Mark, all right? Most people do not watch TNA. Most people in the WWE universe don't watch TNA. So obviously, they don't know what's going on.
Obviously, the writers do. because that's the same. It's not only that they're black. It's even the same dynamic. It's the like I said the motivational cocky talker, the
Right.
high flyer, and the jacked up guy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
a trio. It's the same. It's the same dynamic. It's the same. That's more. That to me is more of a copy than them being the Nation of Domination.
Yeah. The Nation of Domination was totally different. They were, they were like the Black Panthers type
Yeah,
organization. They came out
yes,
and said, "We're black. We're proud to be black."
you're right. Yeah,
These guys are coming out, and I'm assuming they're going to be like, "We're being held down." Yes, the nation was like that. We were being held down, but I don't think they're going to come out and say we're being held down because we're black. I don't think this group is going to do that.
is that why everybody thinks that that's the next Nation of Domination?
I think so. Yeah.
So nobody realizes that that's to me a blatant ripoff of MVP Kenny King and Bobby Lashley.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
But
It's a
you think that
ripoff.
nobody, they don't think, obviously, do you think that the writers in WWE, that's what they were trying to emulate? Because
They're
everybody
trying
thought,
to do it
okay,
better than TNA is what they're trying to do.
okay, because everybody said, and you say people, nobody watches TNA, but um, when EY, Eric Young, won the TNA title, everybody was like, oh, they're copying WWE. The guy's small and he's got a beard, and so he's their champion. He's copying Daniel Bryan. So if WWE does something like that, nobody can admit to the fact that that's a clear copy of TNA.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Some people, I don't think some people like to admit they watch TNA, is what it is.
Yeah, but as soon as TNA does, okay, nobody watches it. But as soon as they do something that is something WWE did, everybody seems to have noticed that.
Right.
But if WWE does something that TNA does, they don't notice the correlation.
I don't get it. It's like, WCW did stuff that WWE did. It's been going on for years. The copying thing.
No, I know, but people only will. People, first of all, you say people don't watch TNA, but as soon as TNA does something that's similar to something WWE does, everybody notices it. But if TNA does, or if WWE does something that copies TNA, and I'd say they do it quite often, more than people realize, nobody notices it. But if TNA does it, everybody points it out.
So you think WWE copies TNA a lot?
I would say more than people realize. Yeah, similar stories. What are you eating?
A popsicle now.
It's got the cream in the center.
Yes, it does, actually. It's very good.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's the dreamsicles and stuff. Yeah, those were good. Um,
Yeah, I had to eat it before it melted.
I have a whole box of Snickers ice cream bars in the fridge, in the freezer. I need to start breaking into those.
That sounds better than this.
Well, those are good too. Um, I think WWE does. I think a lot of the writers will throw an idea that they've seen on TNA, and they'll do similar. Not a huge storyline, but certain things. Yeah. If you watch both shows, you'll see certain things. They both copy each other. It's the bottom line.
And do you remember WCW doing this a lot too back in the day?
Oh, of course, of course. Wrestling, like you said, wrestling, and even how many things in wrestling, in general, that happen at all anymore is something that's completely fresh and completely unique.
Never, usually.
Never. It doesn't matter. Some company might copy itself 50 times.
Yeah.
Like there's not a whole lot that can be done that hasn't been done before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anywhere, you know.
But back to Raw. Um, what do you think about this whole Stardust thing?
I don't know. They haven't. What are they doing? They're just every week they're just in the back talking nonsense. I don't know.
And he's blowing stardust in his face.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Maybe one of them are injured or something.
Yeah,
They haven't done anything.
I haven't figured it out. I think Goldust is in his last run. I would assume. I mean, the guy's what, 50?
No, he's not that old. He's probably about 45 or
Okay.
mid 40s. I wouldn't think it because I know when his first run in a national stage, WCW as a natural Dustin Rhodes. This was 1991 or 1992. In 91, he was like 21 years old. So that was 23 years ago, or 22 or 23 years ago. So he's got to be in his mid 40s.
Okay. I thought he was older than that. I thought there's a pretty good gap in age between Dusty and Cody. I know that. That's a pretty good gap.
Yeah, they have different moms. Did you see the
Right.
Dusty Rhodes show on the Dusty Rhodes Beyond the Ring?
Is it the same one that they did a few years ago, the biography?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
I do like those. I like all of those.
Yeah.
The AWA, all of
Yeah.
those documentaries. The ones
And
they do on.
yeah, they have some kayfabe stuff in there, but for the most part, on the, wrestling side, yeah, they'll throw some stuff in there. But for the biography part, they pretty much tell the whole story. I remember in that they were telling the story of, the rift between Dusty and Dustin at the time when he came to WWE. They, basically weren't talking with each other.
Yeah, that was good, and Stone Cold's was good. I have the DVD set of that Stone Cold one. There's a lot of good ones. They gotta have the Hart family on there. Some of the ones about the guys who are just WWE guys
Yeah.
are usually not that great. Like Randy Orton's and Batista, they're kind of boring. There's not enough of a story there to really be versus a guy who's had a long career.
Right.
Because to me, Randy Orton and Batista have not had a long enough career to have their own uh, documentary. Same thing with Big Show. Big Show's was pretty good, but I would say for WWE, uh,
Well, he
some
has
of
the
those
W stuff, Big Show did.
they hit some. It was okay, but I don't know. There's some of those are just not so good. Some of them are very good, and some of them are meh.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's was good. CM Punk's was really good.
I'm a big fan of Triple H, obviously, Triple H guy 2004, but I really like Triple H's.
His was good too. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they finally kind of said, quote unquote, he is from New Hampshire. He is from my home state.
Yeah, and
I've known that.
it showed his early when he was working and then
Yeah.
training with Killer Kowalski.
Yeah.
And Kowalski was
Yeah, they mentioned it in the game DVD. They kind of mentioned it they put a match on there, I think. But they didn't really. They still kind of kayfabed it like he was from Connecticut.
that was just a Vince McMahon that character, the blue blood, he came out in his horse rider
That's what
outfit or
Vince
whatever.
McMahon would have been if he was a wrestler.
No. Vince McMahon that he came up with that character was it was supposed to be a goof on his neighbors. The only two characters in WWF or E that Vince McMahon modeled after himself, I think, were Ted DiBiase and JBL.
Okay.
Those were supposed to be a parody of Vince. Like if Vince were a wrestler or Vince had a vision of himself as a wrestler, it would have been Ted DiBiase or JBL, Million Dollar Man or JBL.
Yeah.
That's what I think I've read. I've read and heard that a few times.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. I keep going all over the place. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah, like I was saying in that. Yeah, they told the story that he was from New Hampshire, and they showed some early stuff of Triple H's in that.
Yeah,
I really like that. That was like the DVD that was for the fan of Triple H.
Well, they were talking about Kowalski come up with the Terra Ryzen. Like he come up with that name and training under Kowalski, and he was like Terra, that's a girl's name, but Terra Ryzen, and then he took that to WCW with him.
Terra. I need two names.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I like those stories, you know. I'm a big story guy of, you know, how the guy came up. That's
Sure,
why
I
I
love
love the
that.
podcast so much.
Yep, I love it. It's good stuff, and that's why I really liked, and I hope they have it, is Ric Flair's show on there, his DVD, or his
Yeah.
documentary, because they talk about all the places he traveled and how many times in a week that he would defend the NWA title in different towns, different.
Now,
He was
which one
moving
was
all
that?
over.
The Definitive Collection? Was that?
Yeah, I think they should have at least they should have that beyond the ring
Yeah.
on the network of Flair's. And if you ever see it, did you see Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that because it talks about how he came up in the business,
Yeah,
as they all
I
do.
actually have it. I just watched it the other night on DVD.
What, Flair?
Flares, yeah, the Definitive
Yeah,
Collection,
see,
yeah.
yeah, they talk about how he goes
They
through all the
talk about
territory.
how he was adopted, the plane crash, you know, how it almost wrecked his career.
But I liked when they were getting into the fact that Flair was defending that title, every night, in a different town. I mean, they were moving. You go to the different territories. I love the territory system, and it would never work again, I don't think. But I just love the whole, the champion going. The champion's coming to your town, and he's taking on your tough guy, and I think that whole thing was just great.
Yeah.
And they talked
There's
about
too
that
many
on there,
guys,
and on Dusty's
yeah,
too.
like you said, I don't think the territory would work. There's just too many guys with too many big heads and too much money now and sponsors and blah blah blah, and it just won't work today in today's age. I don't think.
In WWE when they bought WCW and ECW, and they owned the two, their two. If Vince McMahon wanted to do that again, like splinter off, like WWE International, and have WWE.
You keep freezing up on me. Hello? You froze up on me, Mark. Damn it all. You there?
I'm here. You're freezing up.
Oh, I froze up? I don't know what the
Yes.
hell's going on. Alright, what were you saying? So you were saying something about WWE International.
I was saying when Vince bought WCW and ECW, and I mean, I think if they wanted to, they could have done the same thing again. They could have taken, because what at one time was the NWA in different regions. He could have done the same thing in with WWE and had like WWE Northwest and WWE Southeast and like splintered it off into different companies, which actually would have probably made them a ton of money. Having like
Right.
breaking it up regionally, having a WWE territory system.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. I mean, he'd never do it, but if he wanted to, when he had all those wrestlers, 3 companies he owned, they could have done that.
Yeah.
Just have small promotions all over the U.S.
Right.
Because if they run house shows, like if you have a house show in Boston, and then a house show in Miami, and a house show in Seattle, and a house show in wherever, if they broke the company up and they're having all the ECW guys, all the WCW guys that they had under contract, and all the WWF guys, and the whole WWE, and busted up into a territorial system, they could have done that, and then you'd have wrestling every night under the WWE banner in your town.
Right.
Or no,
And you
I mean,
got
I'm
the
saying,
top guy that you're gonna pick for that town.
yeah,
That runs good in that town.
yeah.
That
Or there would be
makes
wrestling.
money in that town. You put him in that town every time you want to put him in there.
There would be. You'd have probably, if they did that in your area, you would have uh, like WWE Northeast, WWE New England states, WWE South. I mean, the possibilities were endless. You had all those wrestlers under contract. They could have split them up and had a different different chunks of the country that WWE. Certain guys would work here, like they did with the brand split, but only on 2 shows. They could have done like 5 or 6 different areas of the country that would have been splintered off.
Right. Yeah, that would have been great. I mean, that would have been, more money for them. They would have made, who knows, they would, Vince would have been a billionaire still.
Because if you think about it, every time they go to a town that they're not in a lot, like if they go to Nebraska for Raw or something that doesn't have wrestling a whole lot, it's a sold out bill. Everywhere Raw goes is sold out. So if every area had their top guys in wrestling and their show, like it's coming, you would, I think, like you said, I think it would have been probably a real cash cow for him. Because if he wanted to do it, that would have been the time to do it, right after, during the invasion angle or right after it. Once all those guys were all under his umbrella,
Yeah. The invasion angle.
Wow. Yeah, after that ended, they could have split that all apart and splintered the WWE up, and he would have been having money coming in, as opposed to having one WWE show a night. There could have been like 7 or 8 WWE shows a night, right?
Yeah. So basically, the end of Raw we'll get to. Triple H comes back out and names the #1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and it is Brock Lesnar. Well, Paul Heyman kind of goaded him into naming Brock Lesnar the #1 contender. What do you think about this?
I think if Brock Lesnar, I mean, it's going to be a money match. It's a great main event for SummerSlam. Those two have had they've had a couple of matches in the past, and they're usually pretty stiff. There's a couple of different ways they could go with this, but the thing about it is if Brock Lesnar wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, he's going to have to be on TV more than every 6 months.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be on pay-per-view every month. I'm not saying he has to be on Raw every week, but he's going to have to be on more than every 4 or 5 months. This was the first time. That was the first time he was on WWE programming since WrestleMania.
Right.
And that was 4 months ago.
Right.
If he's going to be the champion, they're going to have to rework his contract. If they're giving him the title, he should not be gone all the time.
Yeah, and everybody says, oh, he's got to work house shows. Well, let's be honest, I don't think WWE really focuses on the house shows. I think they just have them now, and they're not a high focus for them.
Did you read my article at pyroandballyhoo.com?
No, I did not.
I got an article published on Vince Russo's website and I mentioned some of the things that you'll just read it, check it out. I'll send you the link.
Send me the link on Twitter. That's the best way to...
All right. But on that, I mentioned that house shows should have major developments happening. And also on main event on the network, there should be big things happening.
Right.
Instead of just a cookie cutter show or cookie cutter 4.
Right.
If at a house show you have, like, the Usos lost the tag titles to the Wyatts in Chicago at a house show last week, it would make you feel like, holy crap, I should start going to these house shows because you never know what's going to go down.
Right.
The same thing on main event on the network. Since it is a network exclusive show, don't you think it would make a lot of sense for them to have a major storyline develop or a major match, some major an injury, a title change, a turn, a swerve, something to make people say, oh, I got to get this network and check out this main event. Things are happening on it, and I'm missing it. Instead of you watch it, and it's just like a bland SmackDown mid-card match as the main event, and nothing. It's uneventful. It's missable. If you miss it, you're not going to miss anything. Okay. It should be a show.
Do you watch a main event?
I do, and every time I do, I think, boy, considering it's only on the network, there should be some things going on happening on it that make people say, "Wow, I got to get this network and see what this main event's all about."
I'm unfortunately busy on Tuesday nights doing stuff, and by the time it somehow skips my mind to watch main event. I try, it's just,
That's my point. Exactly. If there were things that happened on the show that were must see, don't you think that would increase buy rates of the network?
yeah. Yeah, like put Brock Lesnar on there,
I'm
you
talking
know?
about big stuff, title changes,
Yeah,
a crazy brawl,
yeah.
uh, some turn, swerve, whatever, a wild storyline, a crazy angle, something to get people talking like, oh, I gotta check this out.
Somebody
Like
was
we're on,
attacked backstage, and
it's anything that would separate it, that would make it must see, and that would make it people should order this network because you're going to see some crazy stuff. Or you could have main event be the hardcore show. That could be the show. Remember we were talking about this before. I think we had a podcast where if you have one show that was it's good. This one's going to have blood, and this one's going to have an aggressive match or a crazy match or something.
right.
That could be the show where there's all the violence. And to see
Something,
that,
somebody would left be bludgeoned at the end of the show, like
whatever.
the Wyatts came down and, beat the hell out of Chris Jericho and left him bludgeoned,
Yeah, it could be their. It could be their more. Their.
Yeah.
It could be their TV-14 show because all the others are PG. This could be the one that. Ooh, boy, that's the one you got to order because it's got all the crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Heck, they
right.
could even have its own title. It could even have its own title, like a hardcore title. They could have that's only on the main event.
Right. That'd be pretty cool, yeah. Something, yeah, like you're saying, something that wants me to turn in, and like you said, I cannot miss this. I gotta watch
Yeah.
this Tuesday
And if
night.
you don't subscribe, you'd say, "Well, shit, I gotta subscribe to this because that $9.99 a month is I get pay-per-view and this wild main event show where there is carnage."
Right. Yeah. Like the main event on TNA tonight, but we'll get to that.
All right.
Actually, like, so you like Brock Lesnar? Like you were saying, he's got to be on TV more, but do you like him as the number one contender?
I don't like the fact that he's only on their programming 4 or 5 times a year. That to me makes him more like Undertaker caliber, where he is a special attraction. To
Right.
be the world champion, and that's going to have to change. Um, I mean, they've been promoting and talking and pushing the fact that he did defeat the Undertaker streak, and that alone should certainly give someone a lot of credibility. Not that Brock needed that credibility, but I think the Undertaker should have retired undefeated. But that's neither here nor there. At WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar, he's probably the most valuable and valid choice for a hot top dollar main event against John Cena at SummerSlam. There's no two ways about it, of course. Yes. But he's got to be on more than. In other words, if he wins the title at SummerSlam, I don't want to have to wait till Survivor Series to see another title defense.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He's got to be on all the pay-per-views. He's got to be. He doesn't have to be on every Raw because you don't need him on every Raw. You can't do what you did with The Rock. You can't have him. When he won the WWE Championship, he was not. I think he might. I mean, they had a little leeway because they had whatever the one is before WrestleMania, and then they had a month anyways before WrestleMania. We're talking WrestleMania 29 at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
When it was like he beat CM Punk at Royal Rumble,
right.
and then he had a rematch with Punk at Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber. That's it. I couldn't remember.
And then defended against Cena. Yeah. Uh,
You don't have that here. You don't have that here. You have SummerSlam, then you have, I think it's Night of Champions. I don't know what the
Well, of
Hell
course
in a
he's
Cell
going to
is
be.
in October.
Of course he's going to be at Night of Champions because that's the Night of Champions. All the titles are on the line,
Right.
right?
Right. Then you have Hell in the Cell the next month. Then you have Survivor Series. You have a whole slew of pay-per-views or special events in between that you
Hey,
have to
let me
have your title at.
right. Let me throw this at you, and then we can move on. But don't you think that it would be cool if, since WWE owns all the names of all the WCW stuff, change Hell in a Cell, keep the Hell in a Cell as the main event, but call it Halloween Havoc.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you could do that. Or Fall
I mean,
Brawl.
Halloween Havoc, I like.
All right.
Well, what's the one instead of Night of Champions called Fall Brawl Night of Champions,
Yeah.
and then have Halloween Havoc featuring Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Then you bring back those old ones. You know, the old people. You know, the old WCW guys. Oh, WWE's doing a WCW pay-per-view? What's up with that? Might want to check that out.
I'm an old people.
No,
I'm
no, no,
old.
no. I mean people that don't watch anymore.
Oh, yeah.
People that absolutely don't watch anything. Or no wrestling. But
They
they hear
haven't
about
seen
it
it.
at the water cooler that next morning.
That's
You
true.
know.
Well,
You
that's
know.
what they. I mean, they kept Great American Bash. They
Yeah.
used that.
Yeah.
Even Vince
That
on the
was,
Dusty Rhodes DVD. Vince McMahon said that he loved that name that Dusty Rhodes invented, the Great American Bash.
yeah.
Vince loved that one. He loved. He said that's a great name for a pay-per-view, and that's why he used that. Of all the names they purchased from the WCW, He loved the Great American Bash, and then he turned it into a WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and they haven't used any. That's the only one that they've used since they purchased WCW, right?
Yeah, and I think that they don't want to use anybody else's stuff. That's
Yeah.
why. The only thing I think Vince just really liked that name, Great American Bash. He even said it on that. Like I said, he even said it. But I think that they like to have their own. They like to use their own creations. They like to create their own thing and give no one credit for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, they named it the Great American Bash, and then they dropped the Great American part and just named it the
Oh,
Bash, I believe.
the Bash.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bash, whatever the hell that is.
I think there's too many goddamn pay. I think there's too many goddamn pay-per-views. Again,
Yeah.
I'll say this. I've said it before, and I'll say it 100 more times. There should only be 6 pay-per-views a year. That's it. 6 for WWE. 6.
WrestleMania, Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
You want Survivor Series in there?
Yeah, it's a staple, man. That's been there forever. But they need to bring back the elimination teams, not just one. They need to have the whole night be the elimination tag team matches, like they used to do.
Yeah. And then maybe have, yeah, the whole night. Not have a. So you're saying not have a title match at Survivor Series?
I would say put the title on the line in an elimination match.
Ooh.
All the championships would be on the line, but in elimination style matches. That's what I would do. But call it Survivor Series. That's what it was all about from the beginning. And I would have every championship be up for grabs in an elimination style match, and do that instead of Night of Champions.
Okay, so you're saying, all right. So if you got the WWE champion right now is John Cena, he'll have a team. He'll be the WWE champion. How
No, I
would you
wouldn't
do
even.
that?
I would say instead of having it be teams, it should be one of those. And they had it before. They did it a few times. The scramble,
Yep.
where it's elimination style.
Okay.
Whoever's the last guy left is the champ. They did
Okay.
it. WWE has done that before. They did that with the WWE title and like maybe tag team or intercontinental or something. I don't remember, but have like the scrambles, and then maybe have one traditional tag team one where the bigger feuds, like mid card feuds, all the guys that are feuding with each other team up, all the heels against all the faces, like 4-on-4 or something. But all the title matches should be in a scramble style, like 4 tag teams, elimination, with the champs and 3 other teams, and then Intercontinental with the Intercontinental Champion and 4 other top contenders, U.S. title,
I like
Divas,
that. I like that. Yeah.
World, and then just have a scramble matches where the last guy standing is the champ. I like that. That might be cool for Survivor Series. That's what I would do, but what do I know?
Yeah, you're right. The 12 pay-per-views or special events on the WWE Network, it
Mm.
doesn't work anymore. It's too, you know, and I think the same way with, boxing or UFC. I don't, UFC has an event, at least they might not say it's, UFC 170, whatever. It seems like UFC has an event every day. Seems
Yeah,
like.
but do they have a week? Do they have a weekly show, or is that their
No, they
only?
don't even have a weekly show anymore.
Well, that's because then those shows are their only outlet. They have
Right,
one a month because that's all they have is one a month. It's not
right,
like they have one a month and then a weekly show.
right.
If you have wrestling, it's 8 hours a week and then a pay per view every month. Some of those
Right.
pay per views are so pointless. Like what it was like, honestly, Battleground, that tag,
Battleground.
yeah, the tag team, 2 out of 3, and I love 2 out of 3 falls. I think that's a great way that's a great thing to do for championship matches sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was a great match, and there was one other match. I like the Battle Royal was okay,
Yeah.
but otherwise, other than that, like what was the purpose of having a pay per view? It should come. A pay per view should be the culmination of the hottest shit that's been going on for the last 3 or 4 months, and
Right.
then boom, then you have, or even 2 or 3 months. That's short attention span theater these days with people. So
Yeah.
okay, Royal Rumble,
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. I'd like to see King of the Ring come back, but I don't know if they'll do that, but I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and get rid of TLC. That's lame.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say, okay, Halloween Havoc, and have Hell in a Cell be the main event. That's
Yeah.
what I would do. So Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, uh, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Halloween Havoc. That's all they need.
Yeah. They have too many damn pay-per-views, like we've
There
been
are.
saying.
Half of them don't matter.
Yeah.
They should stand
I
out.
mean,
They should stand out from, like, each pay per view should be okay. WrestleMania is WrestleMania. That's the main event right there. But Royal Rumble is special because that is Royal Rumble, and that leads the winner.
that leads into WrestleMania.
Right.
Right.
They should all have their own thumbprint, their own significance.
Right. Right. Yeah. Money in the Bank. That was cool to go to. It was. A lot of people said it wasn't a good pay-per-view. I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't really like the outcome, John Cena winning, but whatever. I can't be happy all the time, I guess.
Now that since they have the network too, what they could do is, if since they have this, if like I said, have 6, but if something happens, like they're without a world champion, they need a crown champion, they could have another special thrown in there, like a
Right.
Money in the Bank, like the crown. We need a champion right now, and we need a Money in the Bank holder right now. I think Money in the Bank though, I liked when it was at WrestleMania. Because
Yeah.
then that gave them an entire calendar year until next WrestleMania to cash that in.
Right.
But yeah, it looked good on TV. Money in the Bank, I think, was better than Battleground in a lot of ways. Um, it was pretty cool. It looked good on TV. It looked like the crowd was enjoying it.
Oh yeah, the crowd was hot, but yeah. Why don't we get into TNA right now?
Okay.
It's almost 12:30 here.
Shite.
Uh,
Yeah, I gotta get to work in the morning too.
yeah. So did you just want to call it a night, or did
No,
you?
no, let's talk.
No. Okay. All right. We'll just talk about a few things about TNA. What did you think overall of the show tonight? The second show from New York City.
um, it was a lot of fun. Again, it's becoming more action focused. It's becoming more geared toward in-ring product. Um, I'm looking forward to next week. I got to tell you, they promote They're promoting the Destination X special next Thursday.
Right.
I think that will be really good. But tonight, I was happy to see Low Key.
Yeah.
He's a fierce man. He's a force. I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
The Muda angle was cool. Overall, the show, it was fine. Sure, I
Yeah,
liked it a lot.
I'm not very exposed to the Great Muta. I know he's worked a lot in Japan. I know he did some WCW stuff. He wasn't a full-time WCW competitor, was he? You know more
Yes,
about him.
he was.
He was?
In 1989, as you ever get a wild hair and want to watch some old classics, watch. I've told you this 100 times, and I'm sure you haven't, but the Clash of the Champions from 1989, and any of the pay-per-views from 1989. Muda was on each of them.
Okay, so 89.
Yeah, he was TV champion for most of that year. He feuded with Sting. He feuded with Ric Flair. And
Yeah, I think I've seen their match with Ric Flair. That was a good match. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
check
Seen
out
yeah.
some of the stuff from, I'd say, the summer of 1989 until the end of that year. Muda was everywhere.
Yeah.
He was good. He was really he was a hot star, and he was really for his time for that time he was very ahead of his time because he was X division or light heavyweight division style, fast paced, flying around, ninja kicks and spraying the mist and all that stuff before any. His spraying the mist was his thing, but I mean his in ring style, his moveset was very ahead of its time.
Yeah. Now, did he have that mask thing back in WCW like that, or did he wear a different mask?
He came out. No, that hood. He had a hood. And he came out to the ring with a gi, and he took it off when he came to the ring, and he had jet black hair, and he had paint on his face. Paint.
Okay. So he didn't have
that mask
he didn't
on
have
him.
the mask like he did tonight.
No, I think he wears that because he's an older guy.
He's an older. Oh, you could definitely tell he's an older guy. I mean, the beard is completely gray. Yeah. Actually, that mask was kind of cool. I really liked that. It kind of had like a weird eyeball thing in it, and
kind of reminded me of LOD 2000. Remember the Road Warriors?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool. I liked it. And we had James Storm come out, and then Sonata turned on Great Muta, his trainer. So aligning himself with James Storm, who has been, over the past weeks, running down the Great Muta, and Sonata, I guess, aligns himself with him. I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
I forgot about how the show started. We had Bobby Roode against MVP and a
yes, Bobby Roode versus MVP. That was a great battle,
Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
It didn't look like his knee was bothering him too much during the match, and then he goes right back to it. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, like he can't. Like you're not sure if he's legit injured or he's just milking it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he
came out later on and he was using the crutch again,
Yeah. And Bobby won, because Bobby smacked him with it, and crutch. Then he put the Boston Crab on him or something to get the submission.
Put the sharpshooter on
him. Sharpshooter, yeah. That was, that was a good one. Yeah, sure. That was a great way to start it, right, with action right away.
Yeah. And I was really, the match I was really enjoying was the women's match. That was really a good match. And then the came out and interrupted that one.
They even showed the highlights of the previous two matches.
Yeah.
And I saw them both, and they both were good. But I wanted to tell you, too, about Loki.
Yeah.
Loki, in his moveset, his style is very, very similar to Muta in his prime. Like I said, if you go back and watch those older Muta matches, he's very low key. Has clearly had an influence. Was clearly influenced by Muda in his moveset with the kicks and how fast he is, and is very Muda-esque. His whole how he crouches down and stuff. I think he was definitely influenced by Muda. It's very clear. Obviously, a mentor of his too, and I think he's great. And I think then they said next week they're having the X Division qualifiers of some sort, and I bet you Loki's involved. He's got to be because he's a force, man.
Right, and then I like Loki. I think WWE dropped the ball. He was in WWE for a while. They repackaged him as something else, and they just never used him correctly. They put him on the season of NXT back when that was an actual like TV show.
When they had to do the stupid competitions and stuff.
Yeah,
that was so stupid. I hated that. That was so dumb. Yeah. Carrying beer barrels up the ramp, and that's just so silly.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to make a new star. That's what they were trying to do, but it didn't pan out.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but we also had, what else did we have during this? Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy are going to challenge for the TNA tag titles next week.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah,
I'm looking. Next week's going to be a good show.
Yeah, next week's going to be an awesome show. I actually, I've known Eddie Edwards. Well, I don't know him personally, but Eddie Edwards started in Boston, and I used to see him in Laconia, New Hampshire, at a place it's actually now a bank, but I used to see him when he was on the independent scene here in New England. Very good wrestler, very nice guy. I've met him a couple times. You know, just awesome competitor.
Yeah, he is good. I like Davey too. Davey Richards. They're both. They kind of remind me of, and I've said this before. They kind of remind me of the British Bulldog.
Yep.
And Davey Richards is great. Davey Richards he's like Dynamite Kid. He's got a Chris Benoit feel to him. He's really. I think they that match should be really good next week. I don't know how good Matt Hardy is anymore.
Yeah. But
that match should be really good.
I don't know. I haven't seen Matt Hardy's work in ROH. I've been trying to get it, but I've been trying to watch the ROH product, but every time I seem to turn it on, they're showing that the two shows that they had up in Toronto and in New York. Seems like every week they're showing two matches from each of them. You know, they're milking them.
Do you get the show in your area now?
No, I only get it online. I only watch it online.
Oh. Yeah, they had the last couple of weeks because I got the pay-per-view, and after the pay-per-view was really good. It was like $25.
Yeah.
I got the pay-per-view, and it was really good. And since then, they've had mostly matches that Japanese wrestlers and stuff. They're still good. I mean, you had Liger on there and stuff.
Yeah. They're good, but I watched the two on one of the websites. I watched them. I already watched them, so I've already seen them. You know. So it's it's like I've already seen this. I don't want to watch it again.
Right? Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're probably trying to.
I think I think they're having a new show this week. So I think I saw one of the guys he used to be in the New England scene, but now he's working more for ROH. Warbeer Hansen.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hansen and Raymond Rowe.
Yeah.
On Ring of Honor.
Are at a Four Corners tag match.
They're called War Machine. They're good.
War Machine, yeah. I've seen Warbeard work his way up from. He didn't have that beard. He used to be a babyface. Believe it or not. I mean, this guy has really grown that beard out, and it is insane. I've seen it up close, and it is just. Yeah. Being on TV, it's just Daniel Bryan has a good beard, but he has nothing on Warbeard.
It's like Daniel Bryan and the Wyatts combined.
Yeah, it's just it just engulfs his whole face, like you don't even see him, you know, like
like like some kind of wolfman or something.
Yeah.
He they it was interesting. They do a top prospect tournament in Ring of Honor, which is basically all the rookies or guys that aren't signed a contract, and
Right.
then the winner gets a contract with the company. And that
Yeah, I was following that. Yeah, he won that, and then
he won.
and they
He
faced
beat,
each other in the finals, right?
yeah, and then they decided the team because they had a great match together, and it was pretty evenly matched. And I think they just decided like this is the toughest guy. They're each the toughest guy the other ever faced, so they decided a team. That was pretty smart. Same thing with Doc and Gordy. Dr. Dusty Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy, they both said, who's the toughest guy you ever faced? And they each said the other guy was. So they teamed, and they were one of the greatest tag teams of all times in my book.
Yeah. Yeah, this
But
guy's yeah. Hanson is a beast, and he's had some great. I've seen some great matches of his live, so I've known a lot about him. So he's a great
yeah,
competitor. I'm very proud of him. He's like
yeah,
one of those guys that homegrown talent that I get to see on the national stage now, which is great.
yeah. That's true. They get a lot of guys that that's their first chance to be on TV or on a national stage of some sort.
Right.
The Ring of Honor, because they give guys a chance that WWE might not. And then once they do get good, and then they do get attention, then WWE wants them.
Right. Yeah, and the thing with Hanson is a few years ago, I don't remember where it was, but he had a severe back injury that had almost ended his career. And actually, an interesting note, that thing that he wears is kind of like a dual thing, is like his outfit, but it's
Yeah,
also a back brace that helps him support his, so his back doesn't move in certain places and do certain things, which is kind of, cool. It's his look, but it also helps him in the ring.
yeah, it makes it look like part of his getup, his
Yeah,
outfit, costume, whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, tonight tonight was a good show, sure.
yeah. What else big did we have? Robbie E's back. He's no longer afraid of clowns or whatever. I don't know. Um, I'm not a big fan of these guys. They're not bad competitors. I just don't like their whole Jersey Shore. I never got into that show. I'm
You're
not
not
a big,
supposed to. They're heels. You're not supposed to like them.
yeah. I like DJ Z in the ring. I
Yeah,
just
but they're
don't.
all.
Something
Don't you
about Robbie
understand?
E. I just don't like him.
You're not
I'm
supposed to.
not
He's a
supposed to
heel.
like
You're
him.
not. Yeah, that's right. But
No, it's. I just don't like the guy. I
you're
just.
not supposed to. They're heels. That's the point.
Nah, he's a fucking asshole. I'm just gonna plain and
Exactly.
plain
He's
him.
doing his job. He's doing his job. He's a heel. You're not supposed to like him.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's. I don't think it's an act.
No, that's then he's it works.
You know.
He really he takes it. He sells it.
You know. What else do we see? I missed the tag match. I was somewhere. I don't remember. I saw the brawl afterwards. Abyss came out. What was that all about?
Well, you had Bram and Magnus against Mr. Anderson and Gunner. It was a pretty wild match. Didn't last too long, but Magnus got the pin on Mr. Anderson, and they had. I don't know if you've been following the storyline with Samuel Shaw,
Yeah,
and
he's
Gunner had been
went.
going to
Yeah,
right.
he got
He
out of
brought
that house.
right, so he brought him to the arena, and Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson, told Shaw and Gunner. He said, "I don't want him around us. Keep him away from the ringside. He's a weirdo. He's a nut." So Magnus and Bram won the match, and then they started wearing out Anderson and Gunner with some pipe or some. It looked like a wrench or something, or maybe it might have even been a piece of the ring. I'm not sure what it was. A big metal piece, I think. And
Something they used to put together the ring. Something.
yeah, something like that. Some tool. And then Samuel Shaw came in and kind of blocked tried to block them from hitting Gunner, and then they whacked him with it, and then Abyss came down to the ring to get revenge on them because I believe that they stole his 2x4 with nails in it.
Oh, yes, okay.
Janice, so he was coming
Janice,
down.
yes.
He came down after them, and he fought them off. And then once Abyss fought them off, they ran out of the ring. Magnus and Bram did. So it looks like they're working on a feud with, I guess Abyss and probably Abyss and Bram. I'm not sure though. But look that way because Bram is fierce. And you know, Bram is married to
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, Ric Flair's daughter.
Mm-hmm. And he was in TNA, or not TNA, I mean NXT too for a while.
Yeah. Now, which daughter is that? Do you know? That's not Charlotte, right?
Yeah, the NXT Women's Champ.
Oh, okay. So he's married to her. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that on one of the podcasts. I don't remember whose pod. Oh, was it with Tommy Dreamer?
It may have been with Steve Austin. It might have been, yeah. I think.
Yeah, I think he dropped that little, nugget on there, And yeah, he said his daughter. He didn't say which one. I know he has a few daughters, so because I remember when he retired from WWE, they had all his family out there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's her. It's Charlotte.
Yeah. And then we have Austin Aries come out and basically, Kurt Angle tries to, talk him out of, going in with option C. It seems like he's gonna, keep the X Division title, and then he actually gives up the title for the title shot.
Yeah, after those guys came down and tried to talk him out of cashing it in. I think he was determined to cash it in.
Yeah.
Storyline, that was his deal, is he was planning on cashing it in.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Bobby Lashley is going to hold on to the TNA title because he is also just signed to do some MMA matches. So I don't know if this will affect his touring schedule with TNA.
Yeah, he's been doing the MMA thing for a while, I think.
No, he just signed some big contract for a big match or something.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Now, do you watch the MMA at all?
No, and I'll tell you what, I think I'd really like it. I just don't watch it. I think I would like it, though.
Yeah.
I did when it was just UFC, when it first started, and they didn't have the gloves. It was just bare knuckle.
Yeah.
I watched a few of them.
Yeah.
I think I got them from bootleg or something. But I don't watch
them on VHS. My brother's friend at the time worked at a VHS store here in town, and they would, they were really into it. I was more into the wrestling, but they would come home this was back when you had one VCR in the house and you had one TV in the house, and you had to share it. Everybody had to watch what everybody else wanted to watch,
Right, yeah.
And
I remember that. That was tough growing up like that. I think when I was a kid, it was like when I was a little kid, there was one TV in the house, and then when I was a teenager, there were two. But I couldn't. I think the things have changed so much. I couldn't imagine just having one TV, the family TV.
I didn't my room until I was 18. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, actually, well, I might have had a TV, but it was hooked up to a VCR. It wasn't hooked up to the cable system. We had one TV hooked up to cable.
Stuff. Yeah, you could watch stuff on your tape.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was, I remember
my parents had the cable in their room. They might have.
When I would say it was 92. It was 92. I worked every Saturday night. I worked after school all week, and then I worked on the weekends and the evenings at a supermarket. And when I would leave, I figured out how to work the VCR that you could tape because they had cable hooked up through it, so you could tape something on the VCR and it didn't affect what was being watched. So I figured out how to do that, and I would take myself WCW Saturday Night in 1992 and the Howard Stern Show. So when I'd get home from work that night, I'd usually buy myself dinner from the grocery store that I worked in, and I'd come home and watch wrestling and Howard Stern late at night when I got home. So I figured out how to work it without interfering with everybody else's TV, because by the time I got home from work, most of everybody was in bed,
How the heck did you do that? I don't remember doing that.
Because if you have the cable hooked up through your VCR, if it has a receiver, if your VCR has a receiver, which means you can record something that you're not watching, if it had a receiver going through your VCR. So I would record like on a timer,
right?
And I recorded WCW, and then I would record the Stern Show, which would come on the New York channel late at night. And so by the time I got home from work, I had myself a tape of shows to watch.
Was that on when he was on E? Because I know he was on E for what longest time.
Long before E. This was a channel in. I got it in Pennsylvania. Ryan would know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's out of New York. It's called WOR Channel 9, which was a channel that we had on our cable. It was a New York channel.
Okay.
And it was his show. His radio show was on broadcast on that channel. So I would record wrestling and Stern every Saturday.
Yeah. Now, was that uncensored Stern, or did they have it censored like they did on E?
Well, he was on FM radio, so he wasn't swearing and stuff at the time.
Right. Right.
So there was no need to censor it.
Right.
It didn't get uncensored until it was on Sirius satellite radio.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when it was on E, he'd bring in, Playboy models, and they'd be sitting there naked, but you couldn't see anything. They had, the censored over the boobs.
Mosaicked out, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But, we're getting off topic here again. We tend to do that, but it's okay, we have
That's
fun.
right. Yes. It's probably another reason why I'm never invited on the Horseman Hangout.
Yeah, they like to keep it to an hour, which is cool,
I guess.
Yeah, well, that's their schedule,
I know.
But what else did we have? Well, we had the main event. We'll go into the main event. We had the brawl, the 6-man brawl, and then we had a great match. It was a great, hardcore match.
The crowd was cheering and screaming for blood, but we did not get blood.
Yeah, they were chanting for blood. We got a bunch of ECW chants. I thought they were chanting TNN at one point, but they were chanting TNA. They were just chanting everything. They were just going crazy. They were, into this match. Great match. And then before the match, Dixie Carter was saying, said something about, if you want ECW, we'll give you ECW. She was on the phone with somebody. And then at the end of the match, we had Ezekiel Jackson, of all people, come out. And we also had Gene Snitsky come out.
Well, that actually makes sense because talking about ECW, not the ECW that you love. The final ECW champion was Ezekiel Jackson.
Ezekiel Jackson, correct.
And I think I don't know if Snitsky was there, but I remember him in WWE.
Yeah, I don't remember Snitsky being involved in ECW. He could have been, but I don't remember him being involved in the WWE ECW product.
I did not watch WWE ECW. I thought it was like the main event. I mean, it was just with different people. It wasn't nothing ever really happened. It wasn't very good. It was never anything like what people thought it should have been, and what it started out as, for sure. But the main event was cool. I don't know what Snitsky's going to do there. I don't know. We shall see. But she's got quite a force. Her little team now.
Yeah, her corporation, I guess.
King Mo and Zeke and Snitsky and Rhino and EC3. That was funny. I'll tell you what was funny. All the beatings and everything, and then Tommy Dreamer took out um, Spud with a pile driver, and they're all celebrating after the beatdown, and Spud was still unconscious, and there was Zeke holding him up, or Rhino,
Yeah,
or somebody.
I saw that. He was like holding him up like a little puppet.
Yeah, he was totally unconscious. That was fun. That was a funny spot because everybody was all serious, like we cooked their asses, and there's Spud was out cold. That was funny, yeah.
Dude, he was. I don't know if he wasn't out, he was selling that damn good.
He was. He was. Yeah, that was certainly. He was certainly out of his element. I think they knew if they're, they needed somebody else other than little Spud. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not a hardcore guy.
And,
He was.
and it
Also,
kind of
too, did
looked
you
like
notice
where his hand was? It kind of looked like he was like a ventriloquist dummy. You know, he was kind of
when,
like.
also, another funny little attention to detail was when they were showing the backstage, the guys coming out to the ring for the match, and Spud was carrying a garbage can, which probably weighs 5 pounds or 6 pounds, empty. Yeah, he was he was carrying. He was too heavy. Yeah, that was funny too.
Yeah.
A lot of his little mannerisms and facial expressions and things are pretty humorous.
I think even Stone Cold said he enjoys him.
Yeah, he's the guy knows how to be
An entertainer.
Yeah, he's a goofy little dude who I don't know. He knows how to work it. It's funny. Well, hey, we're gonna call it a night here, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This was a great another episode of the O'Reilly Wrestling Hangout. Mark, you can find Mark on Twitter at the real Mark Golden. I don't know why he's the real Mark Golden. Is there anybody? There's another Mark Golden on Twitter, is there?
No, there is not. I did explain that in a previous episode why I chose that name. Because when I tried to just use my real name, my name, just Mark Golden at Twitter, it was every variation I could come up with was already used or taken.
Oh,
So
okay.
instead of what I did was I just put real because anytime celebrities, a lot of times celebrities will put real such and such as
Right.
their name. So
Right.
I went with real Mark Goldberg as a kind of a joke, but also because I couldn't.
Right.
Every handle I tried to come up with was already taken.
Right.
So that one wasn't.
Yeah. All right, Mark. You have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.
You too, buddy. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Good night.